From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
We do know what to do, and we're asking every American to do those things today.
Wear a mask, avoid indoor gatherings, and wash your hands. Advice we've been hearing for months, stressed once again during the White House Coronavirus Task Force's first briefing in 6 months. Thanks for joining us here tonight at 11. I'm Mark Mullins. The CDC says close to 50,000 more Americans could die from COVID-19 in the next 3 weeks if current trends continue. The agency is asking people to stay home for Thanksgiving, and local hospitals are explaining how they're preparing for an increase in hospitalizations. But first tonight, we are taking a look at how COVID is changing the way law enforcement responds to some calls for help. WRTV's Cameron Riddle spoke with a family frustrated by what they learned when they recently called IMPD.
This window here occurred on Friday, last Friday, where someone threw a brick and hit the window.
Not once, but twice in a week, a window at Jackson Burris's East Side home shatters at the hands of vandals. His nephew, Jomo Cole, shows us the damage.
This past Monday, another brick come flying through the window between 6:30 and 7 p.m. And this room here is my auntie's computer desk room.
Cole says following both incidents, his aunt and uncle called for police, but both times they were told an officer would not physically be showing up because broken windows are considered vandalism and a non-emergency.
It's more than vandalism. And my thing is, I'm really disgusted because the people that are supposed to protect and serve us, when you call them and ask them to come out, the first thing they said was, oh, it's vandalism. Due to Corona, we're not going to come out.
Despite being a 3-minute drive from IMPD's North District headquarters, IMPD tells WRTV the department is following guidelines set by the CDC, the Indiana State Department of Health, and the Marion County Health Department to preserve and protect first responders and residents from the risks of COVID-19. In some cases, instead of sending an officer, dispatchers are directing citizens to call the non-emergency number or file a report online. After hearing from WRTV about the back-to-back window breaking incidents, IMPD says they'd be happy to set up a patrol. But the man who lives here says something needs to be done before someone gets hurt.
My wife could have been sitting there and got knocked in the head, hurt, or killed. Just step up the patrol. You know, I know you have a lot of area to cover, but just come through there at least to show that, hey, you are trying to protect us. Right now, I don't feel protected nowhere.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Well, IMPD says when possible, dispatchers are screening residents for potential COVID-19 symptoms over the phone as they take 911 calls. As the pandemic continues, you are urged to use the non-emergency services numbers for non-emergency calls. That number is 317-327-3811, or go online to the indy.gov website. You might have noticed these tents outside Methodist Hospital downtown. The now deleted social media post claims the tents were being used for patients because the hospital ran out of beds. Well, the chief nursing officer for IU Health Methodist and University Hospitals says that is not the case, and the tents have been up since the spring as a precaution. But they have seen a steep increase in hospitalizations in just the last few days and are working to step up their intensive care capacity.
We are not at 100% capacity with our ICU level, but we are getting tight. As we see these numbers increase, the acuity or the seriousness of the illness that we're seeing in the patients is increasing. And so having ICU level space available is going to be a priority for us. So we are preparing for the numbers to get bigger. We are preparing to make sure we have the space to care for the patients and so that we can provide care if they need it.
The latest numbers from the State Department of Health show 3,063 patients hospitalized with COVID-19 across Indiana. A local nurse is just one of a handful of people who have survived COVID-19 after a successful double lung transplant. Tonight, she's sharing how difficult her illness and recovery has been, and for her husband and kids as well.
Their dad had to sit down and tell them their mother might die. And they've had to try and cope with that. It's been since July, since I've seen my boys. And I haven't been able to hug them or love on them. And they miss me so much.
Carrie Wegg has been a neonatal intensive care nurse at St. Vincent Hospital for more than 25 years. In July, her whole family tested positive for COVID. Everyone else got better, but she did not. Eventually, she was transferred to Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago, the first facility in the country to complete a COVID-19 double lung transplant. Wegg was the 6th patient to undergo the surgery.
It's devastating. I never thought something like this could happen to me. It's been so hard because I was healthy and I thought if I ever got it, I would be fine. I would just get like a cold or something. But no, besides death, I guess this is the worst it could be.
While grateful to be alive, Wegg says this has devastated her family financially. A GoFundMe fundraiser was started on her behalf by her sister to help cover the mounting medical costs. You can learn more at our website at WRTV.com. The CDC is warning Americans not to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday. The agency says traveling right now could spread the virus from one part of the country to another. Meanwhile, Governor Holcomb has joined a bipartisan group of Midwest governors to sign off on an opinion piece in the Washington Post, urging everyone to stay home for Thanksgiving and avoid contact with anyone outside of your household. Governor Holcomb and his wife are waiting to learn if they've contracted COVID after a member of their security detail tested positive. Because of the incubation period, they've been waiting to get tested. Until they get results, the governor and first lady have been quarantined since Tuesday. Time now for a check of the WRTV Storm Team forecast. We had a mild day out there with plenty of sunshine, hoping that can continue on to Friday and maybe even the weekend, Kyle.
Well, we're going to hold on to the mild temperatures. The sunshine might be something we got to work on here, but the other good news is that the wind gusts we had today will be absent as we go into the end of the week here. 48-mile-per-hour gusts, though, that's what we measured just before noon today in Indianapolis. That was one of the top gusts out there, but you can see that those gusts are really starting to ramp down at this point. It is still breezy, but those gusts are generally 30 miles per hour or less. It's keeping us mild because we've got those temperatures that are right around 60 degrees still in Bloomington and Martinsville, 59 downtown and 60 for you in the Lafayette area. As we go into tomorrow morning, we will have partly cloudy skies, so those clouds starting to increase but dry with temperatures right around 50 degrees. That's our average high for this time of year. We'll talk about when rain will move in and knock these temperatures back in just a few minutes.
Developing tonight, Metro Police detectives are looking into a deadly shooting at an apartment complex on Indy's northeast side. The shooting happened just after 6 o'clock on the 4500 block of Jamestown Court. Police found a man who had been shot and later died at the hospital. IMPD says while officers were trying to help the victim, they heard what sounded like another gunshot being fired from a vehicle driving in the complex. Police are looking into both shootings. Police say what started as a burglary ended in a chase and a violent crash. 2 bystanders were hurt. Police say around 6 they responded to a burglary call on Groff Avenue on the city's west side. The suspects took off in a car and police chased them. The burglar's car crashed near North Meridian and West 29th Streets on the north side. Police say a pedestrian was critically hurt in that crash, and the driver of another car was hurt too. Police arrested 2 of the suspects, but a third is still on the loose at this hour. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. President-elect Joe Biden's victory was confirmed tonight when the Georgia Secretary of State announced the results of a statewide vote audit. The final results showing he beat President Trump by 12,284 votes. Georgia plans to certify the election results on Friday. Officials have said repeatedly that the audit confirmed there was no widespread fraud or irregularities in the election. Biden continues to forge ahead with his transition despite not receiving key resources and access from the current administration. Almost all of President Trump's legal challenges regarding the election have been dismissed. He's now looking to state lawmakers to try and overturn election results in key states where Biden won by tens of thousands of votes. ABC News asked the president-elect about those efforts.
What are Americans witnessing here?
Let me choose my words here. I think they're witnessing incredible irresponsibility, incredibly damaging messages being sent to the rest of the world about how democracy functions. And I think it is I don't know his motive, but I just think it's totally irresponsible.
Biden told a group of governors today that his transition team has not been able to access vital information about COVID testing and vaccine distribution.
I don't treat this like I'm invulnerable and I'm going to go out and risk it. It's just not worth it.
Still ahead tonight, why recent success in the race for a COVID vaccine means it's more important than ever to slow down the spread. And restaurants across the country are facing tough choices with another round of restrictions beginning. They're struggling to make it through the pandemic.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
A man working to get back on his feet says he'll be able to keep supporting his kids thanks to a generous donation through Goodwill Industries. John Wessel got a job cleaning the outside of the federal courthouse, but he uses a bike to get to work, and one of they bought with his own money was stolen. A group of retired law enforcement officers chipped in to get him a new bike and a lock. But less than a month later, someone cut the lock and stole his bike again. The Lawrence Police Department stepped in and found a shop willing to donate a bike, which John received today. It has been months since the last round of federal help was approved to help businesses and individuals make it through the pandemic, and more people are filing unemployment claims across the country. Data from the U.S. Department of Labor shows more than 16,000 Hoosiers filed for unemployment for the first time during the week ending November 14th. That's up from 14,000 the week before. And more job losses are almost a certainty as cities and states bring back dining restrictions. Alicia Nieves shows you the impact that we're already seeing on the restaurant industry.
In 2016, the restaurant Eden in Chicago opened. Owner Jody Fife says at the start of this year,
we went from having the absolute best first quarter that we've ever had a week into March
to a week later closing down with many other restaurants in the city and the country.
So at that time, we had 526 employees. If you look at it today, we have 24.
Although Eden opened up again over the summer, by the end of the season, concern over a second round of closures in the winter forced her to make a tough decision.
Essentially, we had to close the restaurant, and that was like a death. It was like a death of a family member.
Fife is now focused on keeping her other business, catering, afloat, while now seeing the reality of what she feared. Her state is one of more than a half dozen shutting down indoor dining this month.
It's becoming very devastating here in the state of Illinois.
Sam Toya is with the Illinois Restaurant Association and says it's about jobs for workers too.
But if things don't change with no indoor dining or no stimulus bill, 66% of the restaurants feel they could be out of business in 4 months.
This week, the National Restaurant Association sent a letter to governors and mayors across the country, noting it has, quote, not found any systemic outbreaks of COVID-19 from the hundreds of thousands of restaurants around the country that operate within the association's guidance. It's urging officials to reconsider current bans and future ones based on the data. Sean Kennedy is with the National Restaurant Association.
We are such a vital part of serving an underserved community, finding them jobs, finding them a livelihood, that when we shut down, a lot of folks do not have transferable skills that they can apply elsewhere. The restaurant industry really needs to stay strong so we can take care of these people.
And with no new stimulus bill, these workers, along with restaurant owners, stand to lose their livelihoods. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
We might have made it into the 60s today, but how about some snow stats here for central Indiana? Today marks our average first measurable snowfall. Of course, we didn't get any of that today. A typical season, we see about 26 inches of snow in the Circle City, and right now the winter outlook looks like we'll be skewing on the lower side of that. Exactly how much? Well, stay tuned. We will be getting a little bit closer to some snow eventually, but we don't have any coming our way anytime soon here in the 7-day planning forecast. In fact, we've got temperatures out there tonight that are right around the 60-degree mark for us. So we are going to continue to enjoy some mild temperatures here through the end of the week as we continue to increase those clouds just a little bit. But you can see the view from IMS where we've got that camera bouncing a little bit as we've got that southwest breeze at 15 miles per hour, still at 60 in Lafayette and Bloomington. And tonight we'll find temperatures dropping back into the upper 40s to around 50 degrees Again, that's about where we should be for our highs this time of year. But as we look at TrueCast, there are going to be more clouds around. Partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, so not quite as bright. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about any rain in the forecast there either. That will come as we head into the upcoming weekend. With the clouds tomorrow, temperatures making a nice recovery here as we'll get close to 60 for the lunch hour. Southwest wind around 10 to 15 miles per hour, may gust around 20. As we get into the afternoon, we'll have those highs in the lower 60s. So another mild day for us, not record setting, but we will take it here in the middle to latter part of November with a high of 63 in Muncie, Indy, 62 for you in the Bloomington area. There's that rain as we go into Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Best chance for some scattered showers here on Saturday will be near and south of I-70. We get into Saturday night, early Sunday morning. That's where rain becomes more widespread. Maybe a little bit of a wintry mix will come in there into play, but I don't think it's going to cause us any issues. As we go in time here, right on through Sunday, we will see those temperatures rising again, and that will bring us more rainfall. So it looks like Sunday may be the wetter of the 2 weekend days, and all in all could see about 3/4 to an inch of rainfall. 7-day planning forecast, we go from 63 on Friday to just 50 on Saturday. We'll be right around 50 for a high again on Sunday. Next week, looking ahead toward Thanksgiving, we got 45, partly cloudy on Monday. Another chance for some rain there on Wednesday, but right now Thanksgiving looking dry, Mark, and 54.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kyle. Today, the White House's coronavirus task force reiterated how important it will be for all of us to follow COVID guidelines while the world waits for a widely available vaccine. There's been a lot of good news on the vaccine front lately. Newsy's Lindsay Thies is breaking down the next steps and shows you why a vaccine test subject is still taking every possible precaution.
It's been 9 months since Jennifer Haller, the first COVID vaccine tester, got a shot during Moderna's phase 1 clinical trial. Now, both Moderna and Pfizer's vaccine candidates are at the head of the race, each reportedly working in about 95% of those studied.
That is way more than expected, and it's wonderful news.
Pfizer has said it plans to submit a request for FDA emergency approval in the coming days. Moderna will likely follow in a few weeks, but don't expect the FDA to greenlight any COVID vaccine quickly. Officials have said it will take at the minimum weeks.
The decision will ultimately be determined by the career scientists when we get the data set. This is new for FDA, it's new for the country, new for the world, but all of the candidate vaccines will go through the same process.
The application process is rolling, meaning that vaccine makers have already had to submit things like manufacturing plans and initial analysis. They'll also have to publicly present their findings to an advisory board of medical and science experts. That board provides recommendations to the FDA. It's set to meet next in early December.
What really is happening is this independent process that is looked at by people with no skin in the game, financially or otherwise. I see the data. I get reported the data to me. The FDA sees the data. Soon it will be published where the entire community will see the data.
We're at a point where we're really seeing the promise, where we're seeing that even these new technologies may produce vaccines that are going to help us meet this need, but we're waiting for more data, longer follow-up. And then even as that becomes available, hopefully in the next couple of months, and for other candidates, we also have the issue of having enough vaccine to really make an impact on the pandemic.
Distribution will definitely pose some challenges. Health officials say if a vaccine is approved, vaccinations could start in December, but supply will be limited at first.
Probably the first month or two is really focusing on those high-risk essential workers with a limited supply of maybe 2 vaccines.
Drug makers Novavax, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson are also in the late-stage, large-scale phase 3 clinical trials for their potential COVID vaccines. Not everyone will get the same vaccine if multiples get emergency approvals. Federal health officials say widespread vaccination won't be until April to June of next year. Meanwhile, during the hopeful news, health officials say the best thing we can all do is follow public health advice. Neil Browning, another one of the very first COVID vaccine human testers, put it this way.
I'm taking every precaution that is recommended by every other person. I don't treat this like I'm invulnerable and I'm going to go out and risk it. It's just not worth it.
For Newsy, I'm Lindsay Thies.
Another tough matchup for the Colts coming up on Sunday against Green Bay. WRTV Sports' Brad Brown has more on how the Colts are getting ready to handle the Packers.
A few extra days off after a win, always a good thing. Another matchup against one of the NFL's best teams? Well, it's just another Sunday for the Colts at this point.
Y'all have heard me say it was a week-to-week league. You know, we know it's what have you done? What are you doing this Sunday? And so, as excited as we are to have put ourselves in position here after 9 games, we know that our best football needs to be ahead of us starting this week.
After their win over the Titans, the Colts face the Packers. With a 7-2 record, Green Bay is leading the NFC North. It all starts with all-world quarterback Aaron Rodgers and an offense that's averaging more than 30 points per game.
I know he looked for weakness. He's going to try to attack you, make sure you're playing sound football, try to get the D-line to jump off sides. You know, he's known for his hard counts. And he's just like on the field, just when you got that much experience, been playing that many years, it's a coach on the field.
As great as Rodgers is, you know, they're like any offense. They're most dangerous when they're dual threat, when they have their running game going. And that's what they, you know, when they're really rolling on offense, you know, they run the football. You know, they run the football. And then Rodgers feeds off of that. So this is definitely the best, toughest test for our defense all year.
The Colts' special teams continue to make big plays week after week. Against the Titans, it was a blocked punt returned for a touchdown. And the punting unit, while not being used much, have been among the league's best.
It's really just understanding that, you know, there's so many antics and ways that you can be a difference maker in the game, right? And special teams it's not all the glitz and glamour that everyone thinks that they see, or from a fan perspective, but it really is. You know, special teams is its own game changer in a lot of different aspects.
Now with the lead in the division, the Colts hold many cards when it comes to the playoffs. Being able to take care of business would earn them a postseason home game.
It's a grounded locker room, a mature locker room when it comes to perspective on the big picture. And you know, I think it's credit to the locker room and the players, but also a credit to Coach Reich and the staff of just how the message has been instilled and what we really believe. It's just the culture we believe is continuing to find a way to improve every day.
But there's still a long way to go. After this one, the final 6 games include 4 division matchups, 2 of those against the Texans. When you add in the Raiders and the Steelers, it'll be anything but smooth sailing into 2021. Another reminder, Sunday's kickoff got moved back. The game will go at 4:25 p.m. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
The annual WRTV Toy Drive is now underway. You can drop off new unwrapped gifts at several U-Store locations. We will also be collecting items at Indianapolis area Simon Malls on December 5th. For more information, go to WRTV.com/Toy Drive. Kyle.
Tomorrow's weather, kind of a gift here in the middle of November. As we get 63, we'll have some more clouds, not as breezy. And then as we head into the weekend, that's where we've got those rain chances returning to the area. A little cooler as we start off next week.
The bright lights of the big city there as we say goodnight to you on this Thursday. GMI head your way at 4:30. Thanks for joining us.